No music this time. Stardate 09/15/2017. To us human earthlings, that's September 15th, 2017. I just find it really entertaining the way Star Trek used to always start their programs. Hi, my name's Roland. I didn't tell anybody in advance that I'm doing this uh, blog. I've been doing this every Friday for the past few, and I find it um, something of a release to do this. So I call it my Friday vlog, and differentiating from a vlog because vlog sounds too much like a blog, and I have to concentrate too much on making sure it's a V, not a B. So I prefer the vlog, and that just makes it easier for me. But I use this time not so much to talk to people or to engage in conversation, which I never mind if someone were to comment in YouTube, which I probably should check as we go here. If somebody does comment in YouTube, it's I appreciate that because, of course, that means they're listening and that there's something going on there. I do want to turn the volume off there so it doesn't sound twice in my earphones. Long, stretched out echo there. But there's a lot been happening this week. In the last, well, let's see. As of Thursday, a week ago, we were approaching a horrendous hurricane off the coast of Florida, going across the Caribbean. And I couldn't really not do this particular video time when I'm vlogging and not at least mention the hurricane. So there were some really incredible things that went on during the hurricane. And all the stats that I have are probably wrong by now, but these were mostly, I think, from Wednesday or before. And I thought I'd mention it just because if we don't talk about it or we just go about our lives, then we're not contributing to the upswing of the resurgence of help and effort that is going into the recovery itself. So I'm not doomsdaying it by saying, oh, it was terrible, the hurricane was bad, we suffered this and that, and when are we going to, that's doomsday, and we're going to have more of these, and we're going to have more hurricanes and floods and earthquakes. I'm not a doomsday person, but I am very much into contributing to the essence of recovery. So I looked up the Red Cross and I had made my small donation, which doesn't amount to much. But if everybody were to do even a tenth of what I did, that would be a lot of money. So I encourage everybody to give, even if it seems like it's too much, too little to make a difference. It's not. And the people who step up and say, I'm going to give a little bit, whatever I can, then I think it makes a difference. And be a part of the solution, be a part of the upswing of love and outreach and support in the recovery of all that hurricane damage. So I'm just going to review it a little bit here because it was horrendous. I couldn't believe the statistics. At one point, I think it was maybe Friday or Saturday, there were 5 million people without power. Now, I don't know what it had to go more than that. It had to go way more than that. But as of Wednesday, there and the people out of power were, well, I think it was 700,000 in Georgia, not even Florida, but Georgia, and another 55,000 in, I can't even find my notes on this stuff now. There were another 55,000 in South Carolina. That's incredible. They didn't even, they weren't even talked about. from the standpoint of hurricane effects. And yet there were, in the aftermath, that's where the storm went, and it's amazing that so many people had to deal with this, and it was not just a Caribbean and a Florida issue, but a lot more people were affected than we think. 700,000 in Georgia. Even if that just pertained to Florida, that'd be incredible, but Florida, millions. So I just think the numbers are incredible. So there were, in the Caribbean, in Florida, and a couple of the other states, probably 70 plus deaths. Now, I wouldn't start to even belittle the concept of what that was and the fact that the 70 plus people died. But the only thing I can say is, thank God it wasn't 10 times worse. And, maybe that's an easy, simplistic way of looking at it, but I am really thankful that in spite of all this and millions of people affected, only 70 some odd people died. That's incredible. That is an incredible statistic. So maybe it doesn't mark other people, but it marked me. Also, I found this kind of interesting. 950 miles of power lines are down, which equates out to the outages and the no power. And tornadoes. Who would have thought, that this is the first time I was that aware of the fact that a hurricane could cause tornadoes, or that they could happen simultaneously because of the weather affecting both possibilities of hurricane and tornado. It just it never occurred to me. Stupidity or just ignorance, both, whatever the case. I never thought of that, but the tornadoes definitely had their part in this too. And maybe it wasn't near as much as a hurricane under the circumstances, but they definitely added something. And I never thought, look out for the tornado during a hurricane. I know it's not funny, but it is. I mean, in its own way, it's a humorous thought. So, families and lives fractured. Some would say destroyed. I have the feeling that everybody, whatever the condition, will find a way to recover. I mean, we have to live on, right? If we're needy and we have to watch what we do, what we spend, how we make a living, we accept the handout, whatever it is. Sometimes the circumstances call for that. I've been pretty broke in my life. Never totally broke. Maybe broke in the bank, but never poor, should we say? And even though these people, some of them lost everything. I mean, it looks like they lost everything, but if they're living, that's, to me, that they didn't lose anything. Only 70 some odd people lost everything. And yet, I'm of the school of thought that life goes on and that we come back to this. We choose another stage in our spiritual life and stuff. But that's not to limit the concept of what went on with everyone's lives here. So I see a couple of people watching. I have no idea what you think of this. I'm not, and I thank you for watching. I'm not really doing this for the purposes of engaging your entertainment. This is more of a vlog thing, a blog of my thoughts, because I can't type it fast enough to record this stuff. So rather than write, I'm just going to get on video once a week, probably on Fridays, and express myself and take the load off my Saturday show, because my Saturday show, I don't want to talk about all this stuff. We're too busy interviewing people and talking about subjects that benefit people that I plan for. And I don't want to take time to say, okay, before we get started, I want to do a little rolling rant here and talk about something else. So that's why I figured I'd diffuse on Fridays so we can attack the most valuable information that we can to deliver something on Saturday. And also on Saturdays, of course, we engage the audiences. So it's very important to me to allow time for the people to speak up. We can record what they're saying and then bring it up during the broadcast and actually talk to them and respond to what they're saying, what they're indicating in the audience. And that way it's a two-way street, not just a broadcast one way. We're going to tell you what it's all about today. I prefer the motif of a conversation. And a conversation is definitely me talking to you and you talking back to me, and we compare thoughts and discuss things. And that's the importance on Friday, not just us delivering things and doing what we deliver, but also getting feedback from the people to say, just how valuable is this stuff to you? So it's very important to allow the feedback, and we have to have some time for that. So I'm taking the time on Fridays just to clear my head, get some stuff off my chest, and so forth. So that's what this is. I'm almost finished with Florida. Car swamp, the ocean surge, the hurricane surge was not near as bad as they thought it was. They thought it was going to be as much as 15 feet, 10 to 15 feet. And it was more like 5 to 7 in most hard cases. Still, that's a lot of water. That's all of the first floor of a house. That's pretty much most of the first floor. And that's plenty of water to worry about drowning in. And the concept is the water is moving in fast and it's moving out fast, and it's moving in to stay in some areas. And so the water is really treacherous. And when that many gallons of water come moving in, it's not like you can swim through it and fight it. You basically get moved by that water. And I can't imagine being in the midst of that. We live on the on the second floor of a condo in a very high region, so I'm not too worried. Excuse me. But anyway, and I hope that whoever is watching, if you have something to say, the YouTube chat is open, and I will be monitoring that periodically. But mainly, I'm just kind of expressing myself here. 30,000 restoration workers. As soon as the hurricane passed and they were able to move into the region with restoration squads, there were 30,000 people on their mark to move in and help. Unbelievable. That's a lot of people. And I'm sure that they got started with that, and it was just quite a movement. Immediately was about how do we feed our 30,000 people that we brought in, let alone the people who are no longer have their own food and stuff because of whatever damages and loss, and no access to food, water, and shelter. So there was a lot going on when they moved the 30,000 people in. They got to feed them too, right? So it's amazing what the support system must be to work with the overall situation of what this hurricane represents. So the main thing I wanted to do, I don't really have any grand words of wisdom towards this whole thing. I just wanted to devote a few minutes of thought towards the concept of recovery for Florida, for Georgia, for South Carolina, and all of the areas that were affected. I wish the best for everybody involved, safety and everything going on, safety for the recovery squads, because they're in some really treacherous stuff right now too. So between the people cleaning up and the people who have been affected by this, my heart goes out to everybody, and I hope that everyone will do what they can to contribute to some recovery. And if nothing else, live in the feeling of recovery, live in the spirit of recovery, and deliver some sincere sentiments so we can raise the vibration of Southeast United States. Okay, that's enough on the hurricane. But that's not all I had going on for my week. Um, I found a really interesting article, which I'll cover in a second, but just a few thoughts as I've been studying the different information on the internet. It occurred to me the concept of a webinar is now pretty much considered a 1 hour sales pitch. Because someone told me even a couple years ago, I asked someone, "Yeah, why don't you come to my show? It's Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties is a hangout on air show that we do every day." And she goes, "Oh no, I don't do webinars anymore." In other words, I was doing a webinar, even though I wasn't actually doing a webinar, but I was classified as a webinar. And immediately I was dumped into this cauldron of, "Oh, you're generating webinars." In other words, I do this thing that's a webinar. And her impression of a webinar is you're going to sell me something at the end and you're going to pitch me something that you want to sell me. And I thought to myself, no, I'm not. I mean, that's not what the show is all about. The show is an educational program. But it is solidly in my mind that it is solidly in other people's minds that a webinar is not what it was designed for. Webinars were, as far as I know, designed for educational purposes and conveyance of information to groups of people, and to enlighten them and to teach them something. And then it caught on with the internet providers and people, and even before the internet, the people would gather people in a room and sell them something in mass. It's like you have 1 hour to get these people convinced that they really, really need your product. By golly, this is going to fix up their lives. How can you possibly live without it? And so, yes, it's a sales pitch. And eventually it's like you close them at the end and say, how stupid are you if you leave this room and you haven't put your name on this chart right here, or put your correct credit card down, or sign the check? How stupid of you. What a no-brainer. So I don't like webinars. I don't like the terminology. I don't like the association, even any more than I like being called an internet marketer, because I can no longer associate with the various concepts involved of internet marketing. And therefore, I just quit calling myself an internet marketer. Do I build websites? Yes. Do I work on campaigns? Yes. Do I design videos for people? Yes. But I don't like to be called an internet marketer, because there's something deceiving in the concept, because of the receiving of the public in what the internet marketing concepts are. There's a lot of negativity involved. And I didn't do that. I mean, I didn't decide, hey, I'm going to use deceptive techniques, and so I deserve to be called an internet marketer. That's a negative thing or a negative connotation. I don't feel like I deserve that. But if I call myself an internet marketer, I automatically associate with this essence, right? So I'm not an internet marketer. I am, but I'm not. And that's the so-called facts of the issue. I don't relate to it anymore. It's kind of interesting. Did you know the Woodstock, the event in the 70s there, I don't know the exact date, was planned for 55,000 people. They had over 400,000. And the reason I'm bringing this up is, at Woodstock, there was absolutely no report of violence. Now, there's probably a fist fight here and there, but I mean, no organized ripping off, stealing, thievery, and people slitting throats or using guns. No violence. I find that incredible. At least that's the statistic I read. So there's probably notes of things that did happen during Woodstock. I mean, to think that nothing is going to happen with 400,000 people, I mean, that's almost ridiculous to even consider. But that's what they said. That's what the takeaway is in the general consensus of Woodstock. So I'm proud to be a part of the Woodstock generation, even though I couldn't be there. It occurred to me a couple of things relative to marketing. The deals that were being offered in email and in landing pages and things, the concept of opportunities. When people tell me, this is an opportunity for you, what they're really saying, this is an opportunity for me to take the money out of your pocket and put it into mine. And so it bugs me that the sales pitches and those things are so disguised. The whole things they're disguises to help others sell you stuff that you don't need for money that's way more than it should cost in the first place. And that all stuff bugs me. So it brought to mind that there was a concept in marketing that they called the ethical bribe. Now, it's usually used in a more moderate sense of getting somebody to opt in to your email list or something. And it's like, look, I'm going to bribe you, but this is worth it. It's a fair trade-off. And that was called an ethical bribe. There's still a feeling of some kind of trickery or salesmanship involved, but you're offering true value. And if you're offering true value, then it's worth it for someone to give you their email and maybe take the chance that you're going to email them something in the future that may or may not be of value. And then you can always opt out of the list, right? But then the concept for me has always been, yes, deliver an ethical bribe, but when you deliver the ethical bribe, you deliver the said promise, but you also over-deliver, but you also follow up with more information and more help and an A, B, C, and D of the second and third and fourth wave of the bribe offer of the promise of delivering value to somebody. And that's not what most people consider. It's like, no, you deliver the ethical bribe, you get their email, and then you put them in your funnel, and then you pound them down the funnel. And right away, to me, that's like, then all you wanted to do in the first place was sell to me. And that's the nature of marketing. But not anymore, not for me. I don't want to do it that way. So it's been an interesting time. One last thing before I sign off my vlog for the week. I was reading an article that was an Entrepreneur, the entrepreneur.com online magazine for entrepreneur. And it was an article from, sorry about that. It was an article from February 2016. So going on 2 years ago, that's a year and 8 months ago. Or 7 months ago. But I mean, it's closing in on 2 years. And the question that posed to the author was, can I embed a live broadcast in my website? Now, I've been doing it for a year, over a year. We've been doing that through YouTube Live and embedding it directly into our websites. You have to verify your website with YouTube and do a few things. But I mean, it's totally doable now. Now, I don't know what they were thinking. Can I embed my live broadcast in my website? And they answered no. But you can save your live broadcast after it's over and then upload it to YouTube or another video sharing service that allows you to embed their content on your website. This was less than 2 years ago. Less than 2 years ago, Entrepreneur Magazine said you cannot embed your live streaming broadcast in your website. I'm amazed. It was only less than 2 years ago. I've been doing it for over a year or about a year, something like that, whatever. And the website name changed, and we've changed addresses, but I've been doing it in my website. And so in the midst of this, it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, what are they talking about? And the idea is that live streaming in your website is very possible. However, You can't formulate it without paying money. You could do anything you want, and there are people who will enable us to do webinars and do all those things right in your website. But it's a costly thing. It costs money to have it on your own property. It costs. That's absurd to me. But anyway, but what they most likely do is they want to charge you to have their webinar on their property. So without dropping all names today, I'll just say, the various companies that do this live streaming and various concepts, some to Facebook, some to Google Plus, some to YouTube and whatever. And then they allow you to embed it in their website, in their website, but not your own. It's like, crap, I told you at the very start I wanted to live stream in my website. Now why don't you let me do it? And people have gotten used to not being able to do it in their website. I've been doing it for a year. We built a plugin that allows us to have not just the YouTube live stream into our website, but also a really good comment system so we can engage in comments during the event itself, and also feature the comments with a special device that we have. It's somewhat convoluted. It's a little bit of work, but the idea is you can do this live during the performance. Can one person do it? No, I really need a comment manager. We call him a wrangler, comment wrangler, to produce the show, but it's doable. And the point of it all is this is done with a free WordPress plugin. So it's not for every website platform, but if you have WordPress, and then if you just can load a plugin in, I could hand you the plugin, you could load it in, and you could create this event right in your website by using YouTube Live. It's all free. I mean, the website's not free, the hosting's not free, your domain wasn't free, but the production of everything beyond that is essentially free. And then you have to have your own gear, your microphone and your camera and that stuff. And that's all a different factor completely. But I mean, in essence, for a very, very small budget, to produce something decent doesn't really cost that much. It's just not that expensive, especially to get started. You can always upgrade and leverage what you're doing and produce a better show and green screen it and do all the fancy stuff. But are the people affected more positively after your investment or not? That's questionable. And maybe not. But the bottom line is, if you don't do it at all because you think it's too expensive, you're missing out completely. But it was amazing to me to read Entrepreneur Magazine posted this article and then referring to this one from 2016 saying, and this is just one paragraph in the list of items on the post. Can I embed a live broadcast to my website? No, but you can save your live broadcast from what? Save the live broadcast from what? Where did you have your live broadcast? So I'm assuming one of these other facilities or things that you buy or buy into and so forth. Where are you going to get that? You're going to pay some money and then upload it to YouTube, and then you can feature that in your website after the fact. And it's like, wow, that's really, in 2 years' time, that's completely transformed. And I've been doing it live virtually for free for years. And well, in the website for 1 year, but I've been live streaming in the production for almost 3 years. But as far as producing the live stream in your website, is it important to you as an audience member to be able to watch it in a website, or do you feel that is invasive and so forth? Are people trying to close you, convert you, get you to go to someone else's website? Is that trickery to you? Because from where I stand, it's still one of the objectives of all marketing to drive the traffic to your website. and then you deliver more of your own content and do it like that. So I don't know. I do feel that that's something that people are going to want to do. They're going to want to stream their live stream in their website, and I can do it right now. So I'm going to be promoting this in advertising. Looking at putting my plugin in the WordPress, sorry, WordPress.org directory and releasing it publicly, and also some different promotional concepts. But I think that a lot of people will find value in it, and I'm hoping that a lot of people will enjoy it and be able to produce their shows and be able to find ways to express themselves and engage with their audiences using this tool. And that's what I had in mind. Anyway, I'm going to close the vlog for now. I probably rambled on for a half an hour, but I'm doing this partially in preparation for my show tomorrow. We're going to be talking to Professor Nez. I'm really looking forward to this. And when people say, I'm really excited, well, I'm really excited. And I'm not just saying that. Professor Nez is a real life professor, teaches writing and various concepts in content creation. And he's a prolific live streaming video creator. So I'm going to love talking to this guy. I mean, I feel like we're two peas in the same pod, or possibly from the same plant at least. And we'll see. But anyway, I hope you might tune in tomorrow, 11 o'clock PST. And you can do that by going to DIYLivestreamingshow.com. I hadn't really planned on plugging the show, but might as well. And it's going to be fun. It's free. There's no plug. There's no sales pitch at the end. It's not a webinar. And I hope you'll join the conversation and talk to us there. So if that's suitable, maybe we'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, thank you for watching if you did. And enjoy your weekend as we move through this Friday. And it's about dinner time for me, so I'm going to cut off and saying goodbye from my vlog for Saturday morning Marketing Smarties. Excerpt before to diffuse the Saturday. Okay, thanks a lot. We'll see you.